Hi everybody. I thought I would give an update on the farm. Well, as you're looking, what you're looking at there is cilantro. Those babies are doing good. We've got some tomato plants. We've got the pumpkins. I'm sorry, not pumpkins, but the watermelon. They're hardening off right now. They're getting ready to go into the ground. This is something that you have to do before you put them out in the field, otherwise they will die. So we've got lots of watermelon there. We've got 12 watermelon there, 12 down at the bottom, 12 there, and 12 more right here. And we've got 12 cantaloupe. These are all getting hardened off, ready to go into the ground. We've got some leftover cucumbers, and we've got 3 little pepper plants. More to come. Well, these are the greenhouse wicking tub stuff that I had in the greenhouse early this year, but I pulled them outside. Here we've got the eggplant. We got 3 of them in there. They seem to be doing really good, nice and healthy. There's more eggplant here that's going to go out in the field later. 3 peppers. This is an experiment I'm doing, but there's 3 peppers. There's a tiny Tim tomato. That's as tall as it gets, probably 15 inches tall. And that's it. I could have probably put 4 of them in there. So if you ever want to do a container type cherry tomato, that's it right there. You don't need a trellis or anything. It just grows just like that. And over here we've got some basil and cilantro. Cilantro's ready to harvest. It's almost getting ready to go to, they call it bolting. It goes to seed right here. When you see those little guys, that means it's time to harvest. Otherwise it'll go to flower and it's no good anymore. There's some dill. I'm looking forward to harvesting that and making my pickles with that. And there is a bigger tomato plant. Everything is nice and healthy. Speaking of tomatoes, I'm having a sale on tomatoes. If anybody's interested. Oh my goodness. These are doing great. We do have some little tomatoes coming on right there. First customers of the season. Some may say, well, they're in here, how are they going to get pollinated? Well, tomatoes will pollinate themselves, but bees will work their way in here, but there's definitely not as much insect life in here. So the way you do it is if you just take a tomato plant and shake it a little bit, the pollen in the flowers will fall off and fertilize themselves. So some people will use like an electric toothbrush. I've done that. That's a pretty expensive way to do it. You can just shake it, but you basically put the vibrating toothbrush on here and that shakes the plant and will pollinate. So when I think about it, I come in here when I check on them and water them. I just give them a shake like that, and that's all you need to do. These wicking tubs are really great. I put fertilizer in there that's made for tomatoes. When that means that the nitrogen is low, because we don't need foliage. We don't need foliage. We need flowers and fruit. And so the other numbers, I can't think of them right now, but those numbers need to be higher than the nitrogen number, and that will work awesome. And here's some cucumber towers that I have going. And there's a little tiny cucumber. Now, these were mulched with straw. That is a mistake. You never want to mulch with straw because straw has seeds in it. And that, the point of putting mulch down is to keep moisture in and keep the weeds out. Well, I basically just planted a bunch of weeds. What a mistake. But again, this is how I learn. I learn by making mistakes. I won't do that again. So this guy here will be, it's gonna run over here and drop down the side. I'll have to train it to do that. And this guy will run over this way. This one will run over that way. This whole thing will be covered in green leaves. You won't even be able to see these containers, but you will have cucumbers dangling from them. And so when this plant finally burns out, this other plant should still go. And then when this burns out, the other one should keep going. There are 50, 60, 70, 80 day cucumbers, which means that's when they put on their fruit, is 50, 60, 70, 80 days. So if you plant them like that, these will last all summer. And hopefully these weeds don't kill the cucumbers, because this cucumber plant is gone. And you know, you don't want to have this weed pressure. These weeds take up the fertilizer that I put in there, and it doesn't let the plant get the fertilizer. So this one's only got 2 plants, so I could replant it, but I've got so many cucumbers, I'm not going to worry about it. We'll just let it go. Well, these are the asparagus. We harvested for a couple weeks, but what you're supposed to do is let them go to flower so the roots can develop for next year. And I'm 6 feet tall, and this guy is 7 feet probably. But these are pretty cool. They're kind of like a fern, and they will grow up, and you can see the asparagus. Nice thick ones. There's a little guy begging to be eaten. I'll let him live this year because he will help create bigger root structure so we can have a really good harvest next year. But these are doing really well. They're twice as big as they were last year. So we are going to have asparagus on sale early spring. They're one of the first thing that comes up, which is kind of exciting. We harvested quite a few, and boy, they're so good. They're really sweet when you pick them right out of the garden. It's pretty cool. These are artichoke plants, and I know I keep saying this, but I grew these from seed. It's pretty much the only way you can buy them. You don't find them too often at the stores because they're hard to keep alive. So I planted these ones. I planted the bigger ones probably a month before I planted these other ones. So I figured I needed more, so I went ahead and did a second batch. But these are the older guys. We got 3 of the older ones, and then more of the younger ones. They're spaced 4 feet apart. And this is the proper mulch you should use. Don't use straw. That's not good. Anyway, and then here are the rest of the adult ones. These should produce some this year, but just like the neighbors here, the second year will be better. The only problem with these, not really a problem, but they could die off during the winter. So what I'll have to do is come through here and mulch these pretty heavy to keep them warm, keep the root system warm without them getting too cold. They say they'll survive up to zone 5 and 6, and I'm 7. And I think we'll be in good shape. These should come back year after year. The blueberries are doing good. They've been fertilized. The drip system is on. Got that up and running a couple days ago. So this out here is complete. This is our permanent garden. This stuff should come back year after year. These are the raspberries. They have tripled. I have more out back in the containers, but you're gonna get some berries when you got these big black and yellow bumblebees. They will be all over these guys. I don't know if you can see that or not, but he's my friend. I recognize him from last year. Anywho, we've got plenty of raspberries, and then starting right here, we've got blackberries all the way down there. And I'm really looking forward to Harper picking them, even though she doesn't like them, she says. We'll see. Right off the plant. I bet you Everett James will like them. He'll eat anything. Anywho, just having a little fun here. That's all for now. I think I've showed you everything. That's what I've been up to. Here we are out in the pumpkin patch. We've got a whole bunch of pumpkins and squash and delicata and butternut. I've got 2 more rows over there. I got 1, 2. Those will all be watermelon. So I should have probably 60 watermelon plants over there. And then I planted some marigolds this morning. All this here will be sunflower seeds, or I planted sunflower seeds. So that ought to be fun. The eggplant that I just showed you a little bit ago are gonna go in here. I lay down the plastic. Well, first thing I do is I have drip tape. That piece right there runs all the way up to there. All these have drip tape underground, and I water them all at the same time. It's a pretty efficient way to do it. I can use all that from my rainwater tank. Also, I can inject fertilizer in at the same time, which comes in handy. It's the way to do it. But all these here will be eggplant and zucchini and whatever else that I have over there, cantaloupe. That's why I grew so many of the melons. Those are my favorite. And these are the cherry tomatoes, peppers, marigolds, more peppers, bell peppers. These are the cherry tomatoes. They will eventually make it through the trellis. And those guys are doing pretty good. Those are sunflowers right there, a whole row of sunflowers. More tomatoes. Remember when I showed everybody when I started? Those are the first boxes I made. Now, since then, I built more. We've got lots of tomatoes there. Those are all blooming. Again, I put straw down for mulch. Big mistake. I should have used bark mulch, like here, no weeds. These here are all pickling cucumbers. They're gonna grow up these strings here. We're gonna have lots of pickles. I'm growing dill this year. No garlic, but I'll just have to buy some garlic. I'm looking forward to making my own pickles. That ought to be fun. And there's some eggplant in there. There's 4 eggplant. But the eggplant, what I did is when I planted these, I put the string under the plant like a U shape, brought it up and tied it off here. And what I'm gonna do is trellis the eggplant up that. It's just kind of loosely up there. I will get around to that soon. And here's some slicing cucumbers. These will also be trellised up. And we got our first customer right there. That's the biggest cucumber of the season so far. It's about 3 inches. Those eggplant will go in here or out in the field. I haven't decided yet. Again, there's the tomatoes. And here's the trellis. Looking forward to covering this baby up. This ought to be fun. We've got a whole row of broccoli here. We eat a lot of broccoli. I do a lot of food prep, and I will be blanching it, freezing it. There's a whole another row of broccoli here, and I'll be planting some more here soon so we keep the fun going. More tomatoes. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all these tomatoes. I got a little crazy with the tomatoes. And there's more cucumbers. Got another customer. These guys are all slicing tomatoes. These are not slicing tomatoes, slicing cucumbers. These are, I'm really looking forward to these. These are really good. I love those cucumbers. And our pole beans, they're coming up. I planted these from seed probably 7-8 days ago, and they're already up. There's some there, and there's some right here. And the plan is for them to grow up all over this. So not only will it be nice and shady in here when you're harvesting beans, they'll all be dangling from up here. And after about 3 weeks of those, I have another arch I'm gonna put up. It's gonna be right here. I have more cattle panels. It's gonna go up and down here, and then I'll plant a bunch of beans here, some beans there, and this will grow a bunch of pole beans. And about 3 weeks after that, I'll do the same thing here. I have one more panel left. It'll go up and down here. And then I'll plant the pole beans here and here. And then there'll be more beans to harvest all the way into the fall. That's the update on that garden. We've got our raspberries in the containers. They're doing great. This will be year number 2, so the harvest should be double, I'm guessing. But everything's going good so far. I'll show you what else we got going here in just a second.